Man, I was just watching you before. Man, you knocked everybody. He knocked De Soto out. He knocked Vasquez out. He knocked my man from Holland out, Overeem out.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is some good stuff, man. It was really good. You knocked some really legends out. You knocked some all-time greats out, man.
6 years ago, I was in Morocco
Yeah.
trying to find my way to go to Europe because that's always been my dream to get somewhere that I can have opportunity. And out there, it was just like immigrating. So we was illegal, like those similar like Mexican trying to cross the border.
Did you get jobs?
No job. Sometimes we live in the forest, hiding for the cops, trying to cross the border to go to Spain. And anytime that, and it was.
Did you have food?
No, sometimes
eat?
Sometimes we have to go hunt. Sometimes we have to go wait to the trash truck.
Did anybody ever see you and
then
just say, "Hey, need food?" Never.
No, when we have to hide because we didn't know who was the police or not, and there was like in a regular clothes sometime to come there
Detectives
catch us. Yes, and when I went in the rough. Sometimes you have a hard time, and we have a chance to go to. Sometimes you have a chance to go on use internet on tonight, and I always watch boxing because my dream was to boxing. That was like my motivation to watch Mike Tyson on YouTube because that's when I never watched your fight live because I grew up in Africa and I didn't have a damn TV, nothing like that, And I was watching it. I'm like, damn, I gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And I watch all this fight. I go through this. I'm like, how is it possible to be like heavyweight? Because heavyweight does suppose usually they are not so technical, But I'm like, how is it possible to be like heavyweight and be so technical? Everything was like perfect, And even today, I still believe that I can put Mike Tyson video and then to teach those kid boxing to say, okay, this how you raise your hand, this how you move, this how you dodge, this how you do the clock, because everything, even in the fight, was great, which is something that I haven't seen before, that you don't see often, because when you see this professional fighter, obviously as amateur fighter, they did all this stuff, raise their hand, move perfectly. But when they become pro, everybody hand down, this, that. And you can show some kids like this how they box. That doesn't make sense. Why do you tell me that they box like this and the professional boxer there is boxing like this, like that, And for me, it was something just unbelievable. And it was my motivation because despite my situation at the time, I always believed that, I don't know why, but it seems like I had some voice in my mind who told me that it's going to happen. How? I don't know. But it's going to happen. Then I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. And that was just like 6 to 7 years ago. And today I'm here. You're telling me about my KO, which is like, where? I'm like, is it real?
You did what you don't know what you did. Know what you did? Your words were your destiny. You spoke out your reality. And you said, I'm going to do that. That's what happened to me. I was locked up in a juvenile detention center at 1978, maybe 1979, something to that. Yeah, 78, 77. I was like, 12 or 11. I was locked up in a juvenile detention. And we watched the movie The Greatest, and it was cool. And as soon as the lights came on, Muhammad Ali came in. And as soon as he came in, everybody lost. I mean, the staff, the guards, the police, everybody lost. And I said, I want to be like him. First thing I said, I want to be like him. I don't know why I said it. Maybe because everybody was clapping, going crazy, and I saw that, and I got high off that rush. I said, I want to be like him. I didn't know I was going to do it, but I said, I want to be like him.
The thing is, I didn't even have a chance to have a real model on live. Like, obviously, we heard about Mike Tyson, but I couldn't watch Mike Tyson fight. We didn't have TVs, We barely have a lamp to read our book. I started to work at 10. I was 10 years old to be able to support my scholarship. And that's how I grew up. But you're right, because the thing is like, you know, in where I'm from Cameroon and from some small village. And people they are very hopeless because they feel like they lose everything. Nothing is made for them. You know, they're forgotten. And they're like, okay, you have to settle to this. And that's why I always have problem with my family because I was a dreamer. I was very ambitious. I'm like, I want this. I'm like, no, you are not for that class of life. You don't belong to that class and you can't do it. I'm like, why I can't do it? I'm like, no, you have to be like a farmer, like your dad. You have to do this like your grandpa. I'm like, then who says that? Who say he can change? You know. Then and I really looked back at that time like just being doesn't agree with my parents, with my elder. So it was like I was like a bad seed, you know, among kids.
That's what you were called.
Yeah,
You weren't a bad seed.
I was a very bad one. So at the point that when I go somewhere, if I sat here, somebody he would just change his wallet and put on this side. I'm like, this kid is so ambitious. He's gonna end up bad, you know. Nobody never understand like what was my dream. I'm like, I just have to change this situation. I just have to be something else. You know, I believe that I can make my own destiny. I mean, nobody says it will be easy, but it's still possible, you know. And that always my thought. And I think that's one of the things that make me decide to know to make the change. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing. And basically, when I came up with my dream to become a boxer, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Who told you it's possible for you? Look at you. Look at where you came from. How is it possible? Look in the entire country who had succeed with boxing. Then they would take some example. They would say like, because we have some famous boxer there who unfortunately didn't do great life-wise.
What's his name?
Like Joseph Bessala, Jean-Marie Emebe, like Watabele. Don't mention those guys. I'm like, look at those guys. Their life is miserable. I'm like, yes, but my own doesn't have to end up like that. It can be different. I can take my own chance, and doesn't matter if I fail. You know, I can still. At least I try. You know, the loser is the guy who didn't try. If you try and didn't make it, you are not a loser. You know, and maybe you're gonna do something else, but be in peace with yourself. Like, okay, I tried.
I'm a strong believer in that, you know.
Yeah.
During my life is full of mistakes, but I didn't stand on the wall and do nothing. I did something. You know, I didn't know what to do, but I made a lot of mistakes, but I did something.
Oh yeah. Oh hey yeah.
Definitely, man.
You did a lot.
Yeah, I didn't stand on the wall and just do nothing. I did something.
And then when you're somewhere fighting for your dream, for something, to make something, and then they came up with some story like with Mike Tyson on, and this guy will end up go to jail and come back and still be in the top level. I'm like, everything is possible, you know?
Yes, anything
I mean,
possible.
it's like a motivation. Sometimes good things are really good, but the most important thing sometimes that you can also look up in what's supposed to be bad and see the good in it.
Absolutely.
And that's what is really important. That's what you learn out of it, you know.
I remember Ali, you know, he didn't go to prison, but he couldn't fight for 3 years.
Yeah.
And he came back eventually and won the title, you know, after losing the Frazier and losing to Norton, but he still came back and won the title.
That's because he refused to go to Vietnam.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And when I went to prison for 3 years, I said, I'm going to do it too, just like Ali. But I said, I'm going to win the title the first fight. He didn't win the first fight with Frazier, but I said, the first fight I'm going to win.